share this with you a moment, because this was the challenge that was sent to me. To do that, you got a share screen up, haven't you? Yeah. To do the blue Pandrol clip. I never knew they were called that, so the first thing Neil sent me some drawings, 2 of them, which I looked at in all directions and thought, blimey, I don't know what that is. So then I spent a while looking on the internet to see exactly what these things were, and then realized, of course, I've seen them all over the place, but never knew what they were. So he sent me this task of doing this drawing. So let's have a look what we've got here. So that's the finished drawing I'm going to take you through, and hopefully, Neil, that is the sort of thing that you're looking for. He's nodding, so I must be on the right track. Now, when I had this at first, I thought, oh blimey, this is going to be easy now. So I'll show you how I thought this would work. I thought this is a simple thing. I'll do a coil simply like this. I'm doing this quite roughly now, and I thought that's the coil. I'll do 1 revolution like that, and then quite easily I'll just click on that one and pull that out there, and click on that one and pull that out there. And I thought, that's great, job done. Then I realized, of course, that these 2 limbs are in line with each other, and they shouldn't be. Looking at it more closely, as you can see, it's not quite there. So I spent a while working out whether I could modify this and elongate it as well, because the original clip, as you can see, you've got your curves at both ends. You've got an elongated bit there and there, but you've also got this bent bit. So I drew this first flat, and then, because I thought this is easy, I'll draw it flat like a paper clip and just bend it in the middle. Fusion doesn't allow you to bend things in the middle like that. I don't know if SketchUp does. So I thought, right, the only way to do this then is to draw it. So what we've ended up with, I'll switch the body off. That's the sketch that we're using. So you've got a sketch where you've got this side of the sketch and this side on one plane. You've got this leg down here, which is a plane below it, as it were. You've got 2 angle pieces going up and a curved bit at the top. So what I'm going to take you through is not so much go through step by step, but take you through some of my thinking, because this really did catch me out last week. So I thought, right, well, this bit up here is going to be fairly straightforward, I thought. So we went into sketch mode, and I thought, right, I'll take my base now, and I thought I'll start off with a nice square. Take my 2 ends off. Whoops. Finish the sketch. So I thought that gives you my 2 flat pieces, which are these 2 there. I thought, right, now I'll put a line up there. That's quite easy as well, I thought. So I went into, let's put my origins on, went into sketch mode. I thought, right, I need that there, and I need to place a line up here at whatever angle. Whoops. I thought that's easy. All I now need to do is put a plane over this side to do a line up here. So I thought, right, I got to put now that curve that's in there. There. And this is where it started to fall apart, because you can't do it. Because if you go back into the first sketch, for example, which is the bottom one, you can't see the line anymore. If I go back into the second sketch, I can see the lines. So I thought, right, hit the fillet command, select that line, can't select that one. So you can't put the fillet in that way. So that had me working out, well, the only way I'm going to be able to do this is to physically draw it in 3D. I don't think we've done any drawing in 3D as such. on our past tutorials. I don't think we have, not to any extent anyway. So that's what I'm going to start looking at here. So I'm going to be dropping between these two, because I don't want to mess this up now I got it working. So if I go back to this one, and again, I'm not working to size or scale on this, so let's just delete that lot and start with a clean sheet. In fact, I think I'll make sure we got a proper clean one, and we'll go there. So I want to go into sketch mode, and I'll start on that sketch. And the first thing I want to do is the one side of the flat. As I say, I'm not working on measurements, I'm doing technique. And that's there. Now I'm not going to come out to that sketch, so the first thing I'm going to do is re-angle where I'm looking. And I'm going to put escape to enter. So I've got my first line in. I'm going up for my second line, and I'm coming down to my point. Now you notice the sketch that's highlighted is the blue one, which is the same one as the line is on. But that's not the one I want. I want that one. Let's zoom in a bit. I want that one. Then I can draw my line up there, like so. And then I'll just fix that, because now I can come down to my fillet command, select that line and select that line and put that angle in there, which is that one there. Moving on from there, I've got this arc and a line down here to do. So what I decided to do there was forget the arc for the moment. So I'm going to go to my line, and when you go back to the point and click on it, the origin changes. Now what I want now is the line coming across here. I don't want it on the base plane, because if it's on the base, it'll be level with this line over here. So I want to use that plane, and then I can bring it across here like so. Then I want to go back onto that plane, click on it, and I can come down. I'm guessing this a bit because I didn't actually mark it out on length. Come down to there. Then I click on that plane, and I can come across. Oh, that's a long line, didn't realize it was as long as that. To there. Finish my line drawing. Fillet again, there and there. Now when I done this on the original, the straight line up there, I done 20 millimeters, so I knew this one was 20 millimeters as well. So as I say, I'm doing this without the measurements. Next stage now, I've got to do the curve at the top. So I thought, well, that's an easy one really. 3-point curve. Click on there, and do my curve. And it lines up quite nicely. Now you can see what's happened there. So let's go back again. And that's because I didn't pick the wrong shape. So there's our 3D. Go back into line, go on there, and it's that one down there, but I need to bring it down in the right place here rather than out there, and that was where it got a bit difficult. So what we done, I'll now, as I said, I'm taking you through my thinking on this. So I thought I can't do it that way, so I'm going back now, and what I'm going to do now is do another line. Let me take that one back to what it should be. I'll do some measurements this time. Let's call it 10 millimeters to there. And then I'm going to do, and we'll come across here, let's say 10 millimeters. Whoops. And then I'm going to go down here 10 millimeters as well. So that now I've got my two base lines that are parallel, which will make it working a bit easier. I'm still in the same sketch. So now back to my straight line, pick up that point, change from the one plane to that plane, and come up there, and I'm going to come up there, I'm going to say 5 millimeters. And note what the angle is, I'm going to call it 145, okay? Escape. Then come the other side, click on there, again, 5 millimeters up, angle 145. Now you know what I've done there. If you look at there, the mistake there was I clicked on that and I started drawing. So as a result, it drew on the blue plane. Excuse me. I want it on that plane, so I need to click on that plane. Now I can do 5 millimeters up and 145, and that's that. Now the next stage is across here. So again, it's the 3-point arc, and it's there, and it's there. Now, if I just do it like that, and I'll do it there, you can see immediately that's not what I want, because I want the arc to be a continuation of this line coming round there. If we look at the original, like so, let's put the bodies on again. Okay, so we'll go back and we'll undo that last command, and we'll go back into the arc mode, onto there, and on, oops, sorry, no, before getting ahead of myself now. Back onto the arc, click up there and select, I think it was that one, I think it's that one. Select on that one and across to there. And then if you want to line up, you can see what you're doing. Whoops. Shouldn't have pressed that then, one key. It's a bit fiddly because I've got my snap on, I shouldn't have it on. And that gives me the curve up there. Now with the other one down the bottom here, what I've got to do is create something for this bottom one down here. So the answer I found on that one, there's a number, I'm not saying this is the only way of doing this, by the way, is again, I went on there and select there and select that back plane. I wish that would enlarge there, and then I could come down and I'm going to come down, let's say 3 millimeters, and click, and then I want to go on the back on that bottom plane to come across there, and then I want to go up that way like so. So you can see now I've gone too far. Hang on a minute. Let's go back again on that one. It becomes very difficult drawing in 3D. I'll just play safe and go to there. So you can see the sort of shape is beginning to take shape. Next thing then, I want to delete that line and back to our 3-point arc of going from there down to here, and I want it on, I think it was that plane I used, that one. And that gives me the curve down there. So I'll finish that sketch a moment so we can see it. So it's a bit wobbly there, which I should have put a tangent on. So we can go back into sketch, edit sketch, oops, Now that's why, look, it's wobbled about a bit. I didn't draw it very clean. I won't adjust it at the moment because you get the idea that you've got to come out there straight. And I picked the wrong one. I picked the right plane, but I didn't draw a straight line. So you end up with a sketch that's of that nature. The next stage then is to put a plane on path again, and then draw your circle on that plane, and then you just follow that out. Let's just go back on the timeline there, and there's the sketch, and then you just use the sweep command to highlight that and highlight the line. I'll just go back and do that so you can see. Go back one more. So if we were to use the sweep command, which is there, highlight that one, and now you can highlight the path, and it will highlight the entire path for you. And that's it, very quickly, very briefly, in detail. You've got the curve there. And if we go spin back to the original, which I hope is still, no, I've closed it down, it's not there. You can see now we've got the right shape. You've got this bottom one here, which is at a slight angle going down. And that one there comes up. There's your two parallel pieces, if you like, which the one goes in the rail and the other one goes in the shoe. I'll stop at that stage, John, and take any questions.